SBR Foreign Videos, I'm Peter Loshak. This is Into the Weekend with BetDSI, the call we do every week with Brent, the headlines manager at DSI Sportsbook, where we get some answers from him about the action that he's taken for the major sporting events for the upcoming weekend. Yesterday we did college football Week 8, and right now we're going to find out what he can tell us about NFL Week 7. Brent, thanks for doing this call once again.
Always good to be with you, Peter.
All right, NFL, let's start right in. First game I want to ask you about, San Francisco, Tennessee. Now, I'm sure San Francisco's got to be a huge public side, right? And then Tennessee, though, the line has actually gone down. So that has to have been driven by sharp action. So I'm assuming you got a huge sharp public split on this game, right?
Actually, not really. Honestly, the action hasn't been that high on this game. I mean, our count, the public is driving, the San Francisco. Of course, we're sitting at 3.5 right now. Total on that game is 40. But the count's about 5-1 in favor of San Francisco, but it's mostly public money. We've had a little bit of sharp money back, but the money still favors San Francisco about 3-1. So it's not a huge split. Usually, when you have like a count about 5-1 of public money, that usually gets drowned out by sharp money right away. But that isn't the case so far. And again, I would think maybe Sharps is sitting back to see how Locker's going to come out or not. I don't know if there's much confidence in Fitzpatrick leading Tennessee, so that could be the reason for it. But yeah, the line has dropped just because the money is not that high, and it was kind of driven down just based on what the number might be, and again, with Locker practicing this week.
All right, then the other game, big game of the week that I want to ask you about is Denver, Indianapolis. Now, of course, I'm assuming, first of all, the over is a huge public play, and I have to assume that the public's going to be all over Denver on this one. And did the Sharps come back on Indianapolis? I'm not exactly sure. Is that about right?
Yeah, no, obviously we're swarmed with public money on Denver. The count's about 5-1 on them. The money's about 3-1 as well. But there's just a ton, looking at the Tennessee-San Fran game versus this game is probably 5 times more action on this game. So The fact that the public is betting a lot of it on Denver, and yes, I have seen sharp money back on Indianapolis +7. Now we're sitting at 6.5 right now, so they took Indianapolis when it was 7. A couple of guys bought it to 7 as well now that we're at 6.5, but the early sharps got the +7 on Indianapolis. And unfortunately, I've got sharp money on the over 55.5. The public went over 56. I'm sitting at 56.5 right now. The count's about 8-1 over. I just hate these ugly games with Denver involved when I got sharps and public on the over.
All right, so then suffice to say, if the game goes over, that's going to be a big loser for you?
Yeah, that won't be good for us. And, of course, the teasers as well. As the Denver's a popular teaser side, so they're all over that.
All right, and then I'm kind of interested to hear what you have to say about the Houston KC, because normally, when you have an undefeated team that's coming off of, a double-digit home win and cover, and, they're a touchdown favorite again at home, I would assume that's going to be a big public play, but it's still KC, so maybe not.
Yeah, it's a lot of, exactly. It's still Kansas City. But no, I mean, the public has been behind Kansas City for a few weeks now. The only sharp money I had on this was actually on Kansas City on the money line when it was -250. Now, it wasn't anything really significant, but I don't have any other sharp money involved in this game at all other than the 250 on Kansas City on the money line. We're sitting at 6.5 right now with Kansas City. Money line's all the way up to 265 now. Total's 39.5. No real sharp money either way. Count is about 5 times in favor of Kansas City. The money's almost the same.
So then on this game, you're gonna need Houston. If KC covers, it'll be a loss.
We're gonna need Houston, yeah. And again, we're gonna shy away from going to 7. If we have to get something back, we probably will. But right now, just to count the way it's going, it's just all Kansas City at home.
And are people? Do the public put a team like Kansas City at this line in teasers, or if they want them, do they just bet them straight on the spread?
Yeah, no, Kansas City is one of the teams that are the most popular teaser teams we have this week. New England, who's at the Jets, San Diego, who's at Jacksonville, surprise there. Kansas City at home, Atlanta, Denver, and San Francisco. Those are the next biggest teaser teams.
All right, and then, a lot of people are talking about how the Monday night matchup is just, two kind of teams in complete disarray, Minnesota and the Giants. Does that mean that you're going to have a significantly lower handle for that game?
I wouldn't be surprised. Honestly, it's a little early to tell. Right now, there's not a ton of action on this game, but that's not unusual. I mean, a lot of people will fire for the weekend and save their bullets for the Monday night game. Sharps did play this game, Minnesota -3.5, -110. So 3.5 flat was a sharp play. Total's 46.5 right there. So I don't have anything sharp really on the total right now. But it's the money's mostly Minnesota right now because of the sharps, and the count slightly favors the Giants. Now it's not a huge split in terms of what you might call a public sharp split because no one's really backing either of these teams heavily at this point. But sharp was Minnesota +3.5 flat.
All right, that's it as far as individual games I wanted to make sure we touched on. Is there anything of note that you can tell us about the rest of the card?
Well, I mean, the overs are going to be ugly for us if they all cash out. I mean, I got a couple big decisions on the over San Diego Jacksonville. That totals 45 right now. I mean, 45 seems like a lot of points for Jacksonville to be involved, but people are betting that one over heavily. Cincinnati at Detroit were 46.5, a lot of over money there, and Chicago at Washington were 49.5. I actually had sharp money over 48 in that game, Peter. So I've got sharp and public on the over in Chicago Washington game. So that could be, as we say, fugly for us. And Denver Indianapolis, we touched on that. So the overs there are not good for us. Touched on the sharp action there on Chicago Washington total over 48. That was sharp. I do have a sharp public split with St. Louis at Carolina, and you could probably guess that the sharp money is on the dog St. Louis, +7, -120, -15. So they are taking St. Louis, the sharps there. I've got mostly public money on Carolina. As you know, when I look at the chart and the count is 2-1 in favor of Carolina, and the money's 2-1 in favor of St. Louis, that's usually an indication of a sharp public split, and that's the case here.
Right.
I also have a sharp money over in that game, over 41.5. We're sitting at 42 right now. And Baltimore's another sharp play, Peter. Baltimore's at Pittsburgh. Now, a lot of the action was +3, -0.25. We're sitting at Pittsburgh -2.5 right now. Baltimore's a sharp side, and the over 40 was a sharp play. We're at 41 right now.
All that over money that you referred to in the beginning of this segment, that's all public money, or was that like sharps as well?
Well, there was the San Diego Jacksonville over money was public money. Cincinnati Detroit is public money driving that. I've got sharp and public on the Chicago Washington over, and I've got sharp and public money on the Denver Indianapolis over, and mostly just sharp money on the Baltimore over.
Great information as always, Brent. Thanks so much, and we'll talk to you again next week.